Peace and love. Peace and love.
Hey guys, how's it going? So, for the Destruction series this week, I'm going to be posting the gameplay videos from the Competitive Edge Facebook group tournament. It is a 7-round Swiss tournament, and there were 84 players. John Vandermeer was cool enough to organize it, get people to sign up, and he's doing the round pairings by hand every day. Really great guy. Thank you so much for setting that up. So this is the deck I'm going to play. So instead of doing the single gameplay videos, this will be best of 3 matches. Since there's 7 rounds, this will be for 7 days this week, and it'll cover Destruction. Next week, I'll build a different Destruction deck, and I'll feature that one next week. So for now, let's go through the deck that I'm playing. This is Gordrakk, Fist of Gork. The deck is built around him. I'm more of a fan of Loudmouth Megaboss. I think he is the best champion. Gordrakk was better when he could do all units, goblins, so he was great with Cowardly Grots. And then they nerfed him. So now, as you can see, it's Heroic Act, rotate all your Auric units. So still powerful, not quite as good. The reason that I didn't play the Loudmouth Megaboss version is I knew there would be a lot of that. Will Hall has made the deck super popular from his stream. Check him out on Twitch with the Will Hall Experience. He streams almost daily. It is an awesome deck. It has more control elements. It plays Trampling Gordrakk, which will lock down a lane and make it dormant. So in Savage Warboss's lane, it's X2-2. He'll go into that lane, go straight to his 2 damage, and then make that lane instantly dormant for 2 turns. And Loudmouth Megaboss with the Sweeping Gordrakk, I think they're called. They're in this deck. I'll show you the card. It is XX1. And when it hits for the 1 damage, it'll remove the units from the 3 lanes in front of it. That's super powerful, almost kind of like a mini Wrath of God. It'll sweep 3 of the 4 lanes the turn that you drop it with Loudmouth Megaboss. So I think it's more control-oriented. So you got to play it that way. You just kind of bide your time, do your damage, keep their board swept of stuff. This one is a little more aggro. I, of course, am abusing the extra actions as much as I can with it, but I'm also focusing more on damage dealing. The couple of Loudmouth decks that I beat, I focused on flipping the blessings faster, keeping them from flipping their blessings. You'll see that in the gameplay. It's going to come down to blessings. Whoever flips more in the Destruction Mirror is more than likely going to win. You also want to try and set them up, so let's go through the deck, and I'll tell you more about it. So Gordrakk, pretty easy to quest his corners. Use a damage first, then a unit. So it does take, we'll take 4 cards to do it, but fairly simple. No removal. Removal corners are usually the hardest. Very good. And also, you want to try to get him in a lane across from a wizard. The abilities, your mosh pits, and your Deadly Chops will do 2 more damage. Let's see what the next card is. The next champion is Warboss Recruiter. I think this is one of the better champions in the whole game. He's only an uncommon, and he costs 5. I think it's severely undercosted for what it is. Celestant Prime costs 12. His Heroic Act is look at the top 2 cards of your deck, choose one and draw it, and put the other one on bottom, I think. This one, any Heroic Act, anytime you can draw a card before the end of your turn, it's really good because you can draw it and then you can play it that same turn. This guy also does what orcs do. He gives you the chance to get an extra action. So if it's an Auric unit, it will put it into play. That is, orcs just have so many ways to cheat actions, and this is just one of them. Celestant Prime costs 12. This guy costs 5. Pretty undercosted. He's a little harder to quest with the removal corner on his fourth corner. Sometimes you get there, sometimes you don't. I usually try to put this guy across from Ripper, and even though he has the deploy action, I usually try not to even deploy the card, even when it's free, into Ripper's row for the mirror match until Ripper has went ahead and flipped the blessing on his own, because there's no reason to get him to do it first. I don't want them to. So since he's the hardest to quest, I usually draw the cards, put him into the other lanes. I use him to aggressively dig for rallying cries. If I have 4 or 5 Oryx in hand, I'll still activate this guy looking for rallying cry. And other ways to abuse actions. Alright, next card I think is Savage Warboss. Savage Warboss. This guy is, we don't have Ripper in the list to quest faster, so this guy is our fast quester. I have 3 Rallying Cries, 3 Mosh Pits, and 2 Grot Ambush to get the first corner on this. Grot Ambush and Rallying Cry will usually spin 2 corners in 1 turn by deploying the Scout Grot into play. I'm playing Grot Ambush over cards like the Wag Call because I think questing faster is better. I also do not like Wag Call. It is one of the most powerful cards for rotating. I prefer rotation effects on heroic acts. I don't like Deathly Resolve from Death, and I don't like Wag Call because spending 2 actions to make a unit spin that you've already spent 2 actions drawing and putting into play is too many actions. Paying 1 for the heroic act is better in my opinion. This also abuses Grot Ambush. The only Grots I have in the deck are the Scouts, and I think it is 100% worth just getting that guy every single time. It generates so many actions. It turns 2 corners on this guy and puts it into play. This guy will spin the Scout, give you another action. So you play the card, it replaces itself by drawing the card, and it puts it into play. That's like 3 actions there. And then putting it into play, you get another action. I think I counted it once. It's something like 4 or 5 actions or 4 or 5 abilities off of 1 card, including spinning the corners. It also is really good at completing. It's fine if you draw it on this corner, and it's fine if you draw it on the 3rd corner, and it's fine if you draw it on the 4th corner. For Grot Ambush. Grot Ambush also has, let's see, let's go back to Gordy here. Come back up too far. Okay. Gordy. Grot Ambush will also complete corner 3 and 4 on Gordrakk. So that's another reason I like to play it. You play it for the ability on corner 3, puts the Scout into play, corner 4, completes it. Really good. Let's find, it'll only complete the 3rd corner on here, so let's get to, whoa, too much. Alright, so that's it for Warboss. He's the one that quests the fastest. Orc Warboss. Grot Ambush will also complete the 3rd and 4th corner on Orc Warboss if you're there. So that's why I'm playing Grot Ambush over Wag Call. I just think it's better to quest. The person who completes the most blessings is going to win the game, especially in the mirror. Nothing special about this guy. He's just filling in because the other 3 cost 19 total, and he's just there. But you actually will complete his quest sometimes because you have so many extra actions, you're drawing so many extra cards that you are using all 4 lanes usually. And if they got Ripper and I got Recruiter across from Ripper, I'm avoiding putting anything in that lane, so I'm go ahead and I'm using Orc Warboss's lane until Ripper has flipped his quest. I'm not going to help him flip his quest by giving him somebody to remove. Alright. Moving on to the blessings. Alright, the big one, Cruising for a Bruisin'. Puts a clock on your opponent. I like this one in Gordrakk better than Loudmouth because I will usually I'll hold off on using Gordrakk's power until I've flipped a couple quests. pretty much the moment that I flip this quest, I'll use Gordrakk power to get any Auric units in play onto their last corner, and that will finish them on the next turn. Because it puts them on their last corner, they'll exhaust, and they'll hit the 12. So 2 quests that I play specifically as if I'm always going to flip. I always play like I'm going to flip this and smash and bash. If I have a quest open to finish and I don't have the right things in play, I'm not going to finish it until I get those things in play. If I play a rallying cry, I'm going to put the guys into the other lanes first to take advantage of this and smash and bash. You can't just flip hoping you're going to get the quest that's going to benefit you the most. You're going to see that in some future games that I've played. So I play for this specifically. After cruising, play along. Smash and bash, the other card I was talking about. So as I was saying, just because you can finish a quest doesn't mean you should. Just because you can play a card doesn't mean you should. Set up the situation first. Wait until you've got some guys in play to take advantage of this. I also like to try and hold off Gordrakk's power until this is flipped as well, because that gives me 2 rounds of rotating all the guys to the end, to the final corner. So usually, if I got a couple Aurics in play, I'll complete a quest, see if it's smash and bash, and if it is, great, it runs them to the end. If it's not smash and bash, if I got another action, then I'll activate Gordrakk. And then I'll set up some more units in play and continue completing quests to try and get the second rotate to the final corner. Yeah, play to your quests, play to your strengths, your blessings. Next quest, Ushering of the Wag. What is it? Drawing 3 cards is just good. Draw 3 cards face up. If they're units, you can deploy them. So kind of like Recruiter, you're getting a whole lot of extra actions. There's never really a bad time to play this card. Even if you can't put all the units in play that turn, you're still drawing 3 cards. Just everything to like about this card. Next. Renewed Warlust. So this one might be a little more controversial. I've already been called out that this is a bad one in my deck. I gotta disagree. I think it's better in Gordrakk, and I'll tell you why. Might of Gork is the 3/3/3 damage dealer, so it'll deal 9 damage over 3 turns. When I first started the game, I'm an aggro player. I wanted all my quests to do damage as soon as they flipped over. I wanted them to do something instantly. I started playing this card because, like Smash and Bash, drawing cards is never bad. The gain 4 health helps in the mirror. It'll help bring you back into a game. Also, because of Rallying Cry, I want to draw as many cards as I can. I want my hand full of cards. I want to punish, I want to abuse extra actions, and this card, by drawing 2 more cards, lets you do it. I've never flipped this card and wished it was something else. The 2 cards that I draw from it, I put action cards in my deck. I put cards that deal damage in my deck. Everything that I draw is good. That's if it didn't draw good cards, I wouldn't put it in. But put good cards in your deck, play this, and draw 2 cards. As I go over the matches that I played, I'll point out the advantage of this over the Might of Gork. Also, playing the few loudmouth decks that I played, when they flip Might of Gork, I've actually just kind of been like, that's cool, because one of the weaknesses of the loudmouth decks right now is they are just generating a ton of actions and not doing a lot with them. They're drawing lots of cards, but they're drawing cards that do create more actions, and they're just kind of taking the damage where they can instead of aggressively going for the damage. I'm aggressively going for the damage. What I've been doing in the matchups is letting them go, letting them hit, let them, throw everything they can at me, kind of a little bit of a rope-a-dope, and then I'll counterpunch. And I think I have more damage dealing. You're going to see I'm only playing 2 Wag Chanters. I'm playing more damage dealing cards to hit harder. So I'm going to counterpunch harder. This card lets me draw those cards, and it also lets me counterpunch. It gives me a little bit extra health. Alright, on to the next. Get to the actions. Alright, starting with abilities. Deadly Chop, as I said in the Chaos deck, every faction has a removal card, and as I said, I'm not a fan of the game designers deciding, you know, what cards go in my deck as a deck builder for me. You have to play 3. I kind of wish each faction was a little more flavorful. Some of them would just remove units, some of them would just remove spells. Some, you know, they kind of specialize. Maybe it's easier for some to remove units, maybe it's harder for some to remove units, but everybody has access to the spell. You got to play it. It just takes up to 3. Nothing more to say about it. This one's one of the less exciting ones. It does 1 damage. If you play it on Gordrakk across from Wizard, it's going to do 3. That's about as exciting as it gets. You know, I'm not saying they're bad cards. I'm just saying they're not fun. They're you know, everybody has them. Everybody's going to be playing 3 of them. All right, Grot Ambush, the card I talked about earlier. Only playing this for 2 reasons. I'm only playing 3 Grot Scouts in the deck. I want to thin them out as quickly as possible. I want to quest Savage Board Boss as quickly as possible. I don't want to draw them later. I don't want Recruiter to hit them later. So this will draw them out. This will complete 2 actions on 3 of the champions, as I said before. It'll complete 2 corners. And on Savage Board Boss, it'll just generate like so much advantage. Yeah, I want to get the scouts out of the deck as quick as possible for Cruising for a Bruisin', for Recruiter, and for Gordrakk. I want more Oryx in play for Gordrakk to spin. So I'm using this to thin kind of a necessary card. It would be silly not to play with the scouts because they give extra actions and they spin Savage so quickly. So I think this has actually made an impact in some of the mirror matches with Destruction that I played against. There's a mirror match that I played against another Gordrakk deck. He's playing Tactical. Tactical is better for Order because you can move your guys around and get them out of the prevention lanes. But for mirror matches, I think this is better because I'm going to quest faster, and Blessings are what win games. So also it's better against Loudmouth. Next card is coming up. Mosh Pit. Direct damage, bolt to the face. Oh, go back. I forgot to hit pause. Distracted. Come on. Oh, hit play. Sorry about that, guys. Still learning, figuring out this format, how to do it correctly. All right, Mosh Pit. 3 damage to the face. Increase this by support. When Gordrakk was a stacking deck with Cowardly Grots and Skulking, whatever, Sneaking Skulkers or whatever that unremovable guy was, Mosh Pit was doing more damage. Right now it's just to complete damage corners and ability corners and just extra damage to the face. You can usually get 4 if you play it over a lane with Scrapper in it. Scrapper's usually on top of 1, maybe 2. You can get it for 5. Not much to say about Mosh Pit, just damage to the face. Next, Rallying Cry. Probably one of the best abilities in the game. Again, Orcs just generating actions like they're nothing. Play 1 card, put 2 units into play. You know, you're gaining an action. It gives you an action. It also helps set up the big Gordrakk turns. A lot of the times I will dig with Recruiter, and I'm just as happy to see a Rallying Cry as I am an Orc that he could put into play, because it's pretty much the same thing. I'll do, as I said, a lot of rope-a-dope strategies. I will play, I will draw lots of cards, fill up my hand, and set up big plays. Rallying Cry is what will enable those big plays later in the game. Next card. I think we're going to the units. Big Stabba Crew. So this guy is just more of an opportunity striking kind of guy. When you're going to go off with Gordrakk, you put him into an empty lane with no unit so that he'll spin and he'll do 7 damage. Sometimes he'll just be a unit that you'll use to complete corners, and that's fine too. If you just put him into play and let him spin naturally, he's only going to do 3 damage. So there's only 2 of them in this deck, but when you can take advantage of it, it's huge. Rallying Cry will let you put 2 of these into play. It goes around that you can only play 1 type of a card. If you've got 2 big Stabba Crews and a Rallying Cry, you can Rallying Cry, put them both into play, then use Gordrakk's ability to hit him for 14. It takes a lot of people by surprise. Next guy, I think we're just going to get to the utility beaters now. Brute Smashes, damage on the first corner, damage on the second corner. So he will complete the damage corners and the unit corners, of course. On Recruiter, he'll complete the unit and then the damage next turn when he hits. The putting him on a stack of 2 so he has support 2, doing rend can be relevant against chaos or against order. But other than that, this guy is just a utility beater. He's like your Iron Claw orcs from Magic. Gorchoppa Brute, another utility beater, 1/1/3, and if it's across from a guy that costs 7 or more, it's rend damage. More relevant against order. Other than that, he's just a utility beater. He'll complete quests with damage or unit. Also, spinning with Gordrakk, he'll hit for 5. Just utility beats. Next, Orc Shield Bashers. These guys take a little more finesse. Sometimes they're just going to do the damage on the first corner to complete a damage objective on a champion. And sometimes you'll just stack them on top in the Rope-a-Dope strategy, where you're letting them put out damage. Put this guy on top of a stack. He'll prevent 2 as much as you can, and then maybe 1/1. But usually he gets stacked on top of pretty quickly. Yep, he's just a little more utility. I think I'm only playing 2 copies. I went more for damage dealing. This guy's just in there for stacking and some defensive plays. Next, the Auric Scrappas. These guys are your big beaters with Gordrakk. You try to get them on a stack of at least 1 or 2. That way they'll do 3/3 or 4/4 damage. I usually try to save them for the Rallying Cry Gordrakk turn, or Rallying Cry complete, see if it's Smash and Bash, and have him in play. And then if it's not Smash and Bash, go ahead and Gordrakk, get his damage in as quickly as possible. So he's your heavy hitter. Next, Pouncing Wolf Rider. Oh, I keep calling him Scout. So I was calling him Scout earlier. This is a guy that the Grot Ambush is going to get usually into Savage Boar Boss's lane. But as I said, you can do it on the last 2 corners of the regular Orc Boss and the Gordrakk to complete with the Grot Ambush. But most of the times, he's just going in Savage's lane to give you the instant 1 damage and extra action. And he's just there to facilitate flipping the blessing as quickly as possible. Just the abuse of extra actions that orcs have. Alright. And Sweeping Gore Grunts. I've only got 1 copy. It's just for it's good enough to include. I'm not playing Loudmouth. If I'm playing Loudmouth, I think I like 3 copies of this, because instant turn Wrath of God is good. He can go into Savage Boar Boss's lane and get to his second corner, threatening the next turn removal. Yeah, he's just kind of, just when you draw him that one time and you use him, he's just for that blowout turn. But playing more than 1 copy in Gordrakk is a little slow, and just making it more of a control deck instead of a 1-turn kill kind of thing. And then Wag Chanters, Controversy. I'm only playing 2 copies. 2. With 3 copies, Eric and I felt like we were drawing too many. Our hand would just be full of them. And I've noticed it playing in this tournament. We're going into round 6 now. I played 5 rounds. I've noticed that in the mirror matches with Destruction, a lot of turns where they're playing 1, 2, 3 of these guys at a time. And they're getting extra actions, but they're not dealing me damage. They're letting me set up. They're just giving me more turns to set up for my turn. Putting it into Loudmouth's lane is totally worth it. Just cycle through the actions and cards as fast as you can. Get them in, draw the extra cards, get them out. Anytime they put them into a non-Loudmouth lane, it's kind of like 4 turns of free reign for me to draw and build my hand and come up with a bigger turn. So he's great when I get him, but I chose to go for more beatdown. I think you get enough actions, extra actions through Recruiter and Rallying Cry and Scouts that 3 copies was just too much in this deck. One, if I draw 1 of this guy in a game, I think that's enough. It's usually enough. And I think that is it for this deck. Check out the next videos in this Destruction series. I will be playing this in the tournament, and I'm recording all 7 rounds, so I'm going to release one of those one day each day of this week. So let me know what you guys think. Be sure to check out my playmats, custom made, custom drawn in Illustrator by me. Check out Queen City Gaming for your singles, booster boxes, and master set needs. He sells whole master sets. That's great. I hate opening packs and I hate sorting cards, so I think I'm going to be buying my master sets through him. And deck list for this is in the description. Thanks, guys.